minimizing charisma, maximizing intelligence, shooting someone in the crotch with a cannonball, thrust, propulsion. It's science-y.
Why you always gotta be blowing my spot up like that? There are my runes. There they are. I'm not mad. Science needs art and art needs science. They both need each other to function properly.
There are ways to figure out what the paper is really saying.
And then I'm ready to get on Twitter and yell at people about doing their own research on...
Oh, hold on there, sports fan.
Kyle Hill, everybody! He's the next generation of science communicator. I'm going to be too old at a certain point to do those terrible things to my body, and it'll be up to you.
He's got like a lion's mane. This guy's amazing. Kyle Hill.
I'm Boo Rambo.
The universe is indifferent to you. Whether or not you have amazing hair, the universe doesn't care.
How are trees pushing past this pressure limit? Behold, my balls. Now we're getting somewhere, but I still don't think it's worthy of G.R.R. Martin's suspender.
I'm totally right? Post up photos of my frickin' hair? Is that what you all want? No, you don't, weirdos.
Kyle Hill. Is your last name actually Hemsworth? What's going on?
Our resident Thor lookalike?
I prefer Black Friday Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, you know, if you need a haircut... No, of course not! We're not gonna send sharks with frickin' laser beams on their heads to an asteroid. We're gonna nuke it. You don't need Bruce Willis at all. Wrenched. Oh! Headshot! Oh! Kevin, turn on the monitor. Kevin, this transition better work. The blast doors can't... Kevin, turn it on. Kevin. Kevin, call his agent and have them call my agent.
Kyle Hill, happy birthday. Feliz Navidad.
I'm just a biologist. I don't know how this works. This is how you do science. Can I just grab it? Oh. Laws, corollaries. Bye-bye.
I know that global catastrophe isn't the most fun thing to think about all day unless you're me, so...
Are we gonna do some science, bro?
Lasers don't have that much momentum.
That's not how clockwise works.
Don't worry, you can do this even if you are not an AI.
Completes the boundary layer around a person through a dynamic. And I guess it matters what kind of dragon we're talking. To realize here is that the bigger the thing does.
If this kite is completely inaccurate, I'm gonna kill this guy and tell him to his face. You're wrong about physics. Not enough lift force. Oh.
Nuclear metal donut thing with magnetically confined star-like plasma. The radiation flux in here alone is enough to cause instant death.
That's really funny. I like that idea.
Hey, look at me. I'm a streamer. I have a bedroom. We know anything with a decapitation hazard deserves to, yeah.
Ooh. Oh, that's good. That's fine.
Put it on PBS. I dare you. Yeah. No. Mine's gonna be easily 99 or so miles. Yeah, no. Perfectly circular. Need it circular so that the proton beams come around at, a significant portion of the speed of light, and then... Yeah. No, it's going to be insane. It's going to make the Large Hadron Collider look like a wimp. You get it. It's a physics joke. It's weakly interacting massive particles. What's that? Oh, I'm not even talking on a phone? It's a what? Oh, sorry. Yeah, love you too. Okay. Yep. Yep, green onions. Got it. Okay. Clear. Oh, hello, and welcome to Office Hours. That was weird. The live component of the facility... the live component of the facility where good old Professor Kyle opens some sort of digital aperture and allows all of you members of the general public, my professors, my security team, Jabo and Heather, in here for the next hour or so as we go through everything you have to think, say, and possibly do. In the last week of science, we'll also be covering topics that I have pre-chosen to talk about that made me go, hey, oh well. This week on Office Hours, we'll be talking about the new substantial upgrades to the Large Hadron Collider that definitely don't give me Large Hadron envy. Of course, if you want to continue on this conversation after we're live, go back to the main channel, check out all of our videos. We posted a new one today about Thor's hammer. We'll get to that. You can also join the facility at patreon.com/KyleHill, where you can get videos early, you can see bloopers, you can get private members-only live streams with me, where I tell you about everything that's coming down the pike, or through the pipe, whatever the phrase is. And if you really, really, really want me to see something today while we're live right now, you can try Super Chat, as you're seeing in the chat behind my... Wait, is the monitor? There's so many dang... UHD cables back there. I don't know what the heck's going on. You can try Super Chat, as we're seeing right now. I can't promise I'll get to everything, but I'll try my very best, and if I don't get to it, don't worry, it all goes towards the facility here, my substantial creation, and I think that light is fixed, so that's great. Like a Wizzleless Reticulus with the 5 says, please explain science to me. I'm but a mere wizard. If it can be explained with science, I don't understand. I think you answered your own question right there. Kellen Sutton with the 10, new member of the facility. Kellen, hey Kyle, love the Thor's hammer video. How surprised were you at the results? So we'll get to this. New video dropped this morning about throwing an actual Thor's hammer. My friend the Hacksmith over in America's Hat, Canada, made it for us and gifted it to us. Very generous. And I was pretty surprised. I had my doubts about it being a good throwing weapon because it is weighted weird, and having something perfectly balanced, as all things should be, is very important with throwing weapons. So if you want to see the results of that and why I was surprised in the first place, go check out the video. How do you cope with the inevitability of death? Says Brian R. with the super nice comment to start out the stream. Don't delete him. Don't delete him, it's fine. Brian. Bye-bye. Brian. Out of all the possible DNA combinations there are for a human being, trillions upon trillions upon trillions, we find ourselves here, unlikely players on the world stage, under a spotlight, vanishingly small in the scope and scale of universe and universal time. It is upon us, as the players in this grand stage, to embrace the small spotlight we have, to play our role, and to find the point of life, which is to live it. Monologue if you must. Step aside, have the chorus for the play, do some choralling. But I avoid the chilling hand of death by knowing that I'm one of the lucky few to shine in the spotlight. And that's enough for me. Anyway, speaking of death and taxes, we need more Kyle Hill EDH, says Art E. I have an idea for a Magic the Gathering show. I just don't have time to do it. What is the heaviest element? Says Sean Thomas. Sean, I have good news. Look at a periodic table and go to the bottom. The bottom right. Or, yeah, your bottom right. I've never seen you cuss so much in your bloopers, says PB Bonogia. Yeah, when I film and I make a mistake, I tend to scream obscenities. Woot woot, I made it to a stream. What's up, Kyle? I will tell you. The most complicated machine mankind has ever known. That was basically Thor doing Shakespeare. Doth your mother know you have taketh her drapes? So, as we said at the beginning of Office Hours, today is time to talk about the new upgrades to the Large Hadron Collider, or what I will be referring to going forward as the LHC. It's large, it collides hadrons, which is a descriptor of a kind of particle. What's the densest material humanity has ever made? Says Exocian Tea Time. I don't know. It's probably an alloy of like tungsten or lead or uranium or something. Hey dude, how you doing? Says Kath Nan with the 5. You know, never that great. Seems like I'm right on time, says Trofooter. That's true, because the Large Hadron Collider first went online about 12 years ago in 2010. It is the largest particle accelerator on Earth. It accelerates particles around a ring that is 17 miles or 27 kilometers in circumferencia. And inside of this circumference is what amounts to the most complicated machine on the planet. And what does this machine do, Kyle? Hey, calm down. This machine uses superconducting magnets to fling subatomic particles, like protons, around this ring at each other. So, like, from both directions so they smash. You know, like it's Netflix night. Both directions so they totally smash. At 99.99% the speed of light. Now, I want to impress upon you how impressive the speeds are here. 99.99% the speed of light. The speeds that this can fling particles at is just 3 meters per second below light speed. Think about that for a second. The speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. Okay? Which is 300 million meters per second. Now, out of that 300 million meters per second, 3 of it, that's how much this speed is missing before it hits the speed of light. So we are right up against the speed of light. It also proves, I mean, it's actually a consequence of relativity, which says that you can't accelerate anything with mass up to the speed of light, not even a tiny little proton. We can get so close, but because of physics, nothing with mass can get to the speed of light. But the closer we get to the speed of light, the faster we can totally smash. Don't gift that. And the more things we can learn about the universe. So, the Large Hadron Collider, as I said, first online in 2010, uses superconducting magnets, flinging particles around, smashing them together. And to date, photons have mass, says KM. No, they don't. Checked. Reality check. To date, the Large Hadron Collider's data has been used in over 3,000 scientific papers. And I say that because it puts it in the ballpark of something like the Hubble telescope, in which it is one of the most successful single scientific instruments of all time. So if you think about, you know, a single calculator that some guy has, or a single ruler, or a single microscope, what has been more instrumental to more science? Hubble telescope's right up there. I think there's more than 10,000 papers that use Hubble data, but 3,000 papers from the Large Hadron Collider. So it is, some people are saying in the chat, are there better things to do with all this energy? Well, I mean, we are learning quite a bit about the universe. The scientists at the LHC in Geneva, Switzerland will say we're making discoveries almost every week. So, it's a lot of machine, but it's a lot of science and a lot of discovery. Now, what's interesting about today is that this is the first time the Large Hadron Collider has been turned back on in 3.5 years. And it spent that 3.5 years being upgraded with new accelerators, new detectors, and a way to more densify the beams of protons. So instead of just putting protons into this grand tube and flinging them and letting them smash together, they're instead putting hydrogen ions into the streams, which they then cross, even though they say not to. And by having an electric charge, it lets them corral these beams into denser and denser particle beams. But then at such a speed, these electrons fall off, making them protons again, simple protons, and then they smash with even more smashiness. This increased smashitude is going to lead in the coming years to a 50-fold increase in recorded events. 50 times the number of interactions that they had before the upgrades were done. And there's so many interactions going on in these beams, like 14 million per second, something insane like that, that before these upgrades, they were only recording 10% of data. But now, with the upgrades, the new detectors, they're using AI to help sort through signal from noise in these millions and millions of interactions. They think during this 4-year run now, after the upgrades, they are going to get more data than the previous 2 runs of the LHC combined. Joseph Frankow with the 999. I've been a big fan of your channel for a long time, and you reading my comment last time really put a smile on my face. Thanks for all you do. Keep up the science, says Joseph with a 999. Thank you, Joseph. Anything I can do to put a smile on your face, up to a point. No worries, mate. So, with these upgrades, with this fantastic amount of energy, what's this next one? Yeah. So, with this fantastic upgrades, new detectors, new denser beams, new accelerators connected to the main ring, they are going to reach record particle velocities. And the 99.99% the speed of light, as we said. And the faster you go, the more kinetic energy these particles have. And the more kinetic energy these protons have when they smash, they make larger, more massive particles. But these larger, more massive particles decay away very quickly. And you have to look at the trails of what's left. And from these trails of what's left, we are hoping that by smashing together new stuff and letting it decay, that we can work backwards and discover new things about the universe. Sky Daddy with the 5 says, how is CERN powered? Does it pull from a grid? Are there fission reactors? Seems like a lot of energy. Also, hey, Kyle. I don't know what its main power source is, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know what the power draw is. That's an open question to me. Someone can put it in the chat. This is just for your absolute god tier memes on Instagram/YouTube, says Howard Gilson with the 10. Yeah, if you haven't checked out our community page over here on the main channel, I post some top tier memes. That's true. Now, these upgrades let these particles, these protons, swing around this circumference with a record particle energy of, when they smash, 13.6 tera electron volts. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, because you don't know what an electron volt is. What I can tell you is an electron volt is very, very small. But this energy is unprecedented in particle accelerators. The energy, as I put it into Wolfram Alpha, which always gives me a fun comparison, the energy of these particles is something like 10 times the kinetic energy that a flying mosquito has. Now, that's hard to grok, I know. But let's liken 10 times the energy a flying mosquito has to what it feels like to get hit by a mosquito while you're riding a bike. Something like that. Long time, first time. Greetings from Detroit. Just wanted to say thank you for everything you do, says Wes Whitback with the 5. Wes, appreciate it, man. So, somewhere, flying into a mosquito or a bug on a bike, it feels like something. It doesn't feel like nothing. Feels like a little bit, but think about the comparison here. Something you could feel, like, oh, geez, what was that? Like when I flew into a pack of bees one time. I know, outside. You hit a mosquito, it feels like something. Now, that's equivalent to a proton hitting another proton in the LHC. A subatomic particle not even an atom, not even a nucleus of a thing, not a speck of, not a piece of sand, not a speck of dust, not a microorganism, not a virus, not an atom, but a subatomic particle with going so dang fast that it feels like something at our scale, or it would, if it were to hit you. Think about that. That should give you an idea of how ridiculously pumped up we are these energies are, and what the LHC is actually doing. You're taking something from a scope and scale that is incomprehensibly tiny and moving it up to our scale. It's unprecedented, and it's wild. Okay, so now everyone's asking what would happen if you stuck your head in it. Okay. All right. So I did a particle accelerator episode, the Anatoly Bergosky incident, which happened in Russia. You can check that out if you want to. I'm going to put a link to the video in the chat, but I should say, maybe if I can get a hold of someone who works there. If I can get a hold... Shut up, me. If I can get a hold of someone who works there and ask them that silly question, I will get back to you in video form. Okay? Okay. So, with these new detectors and stuff inside of the LHC, we are looking for neutrinos, ghostly particles that move through most matter. The common comparison is that a neutrino can move through a light year's worth of lead. A light year's worth of lead before interacting with something. We're looking for the trail, to get on the trail, a hot trail of dark matter. We're looking to learn more about the standard model. The standard model of particle physics, which explains the universe at the smallest levels, what moderates the 4 fundamental forces of the universe. But this standard model has some gaps in it. We can't explain where the force of gravity comes from yet. We don't know why there's more matter in the universe than antimatter and everything explodes. We're looking for new quarks, as was discovered today. New kinds of quarks from LHC data. We're looking for magnetic monopoles and axions. The new Large Hadron Collider is going to run for the next 4 years or so. After this 4-year run, it is looking to get upgraded again to be even more voluminous and large. Let me see. Way bigger than this. And then after that, who knows? Yes, as my friend Kishore says in the chat, high luminosity LHC. Kishore, welcome. Enjoying all your tested podcasts recently, my friend? So, who knows? Will we go beyond the standard model? Will we find the ghostly trails of dark matter? Oh. We'll see. Get this notebook out of here. I don't need those notes anymore. We have new Sauce God 420. Nice. Says, hey from Georgia with my wife. Could a partial particle accelerator be used as a power source, and could it survive a geomass solar flare blast? Just wondering. Seems like you're kind of concerned about the end of the world there, new Sauce God 420. The LHC is underground, or a lot of it's underground, and that would protect it from a lot of cosmic ray kind of solar wind kind of stuff. The way that a solar flare or CME, cosmic... Oh, yeah. No. What am I thinking of? Coronal mass ejection. There we go. The way that fries electronics is because it's a moving mass of charged particles. And moving charge creates electricity, and electricity has its own has its own magnetic charge. Magnetic field rather. And a moving magnetic field can induce currents and other conductive things. So you have this massive magnetic flux that might hit the Earth, and that magnetic flux can put severe amperage into our electronics and fry them. I forget. I think some of the underwater internet cables, we went through this once, I think, might, it's projected to take, if they got directly hit by a CME, it'd be something, oh, we did a whole video on this, that's why. It'd be something like 100 amps, and they're rated for like 1 or 10, so it would totally fry them. Does the United States have a collider, says Gentugo. Yeah, Fermilab, near Chicago. Hey, love, show the Kyle. Can you harvest the energy that results from the particles smashing to power things, says Mr. No One here. No. Not equipped to do that. That would kind of, what you're kind of getting at is a fusion process, but we don't use protons in fusion, and you need it set up to recoup the energy from a fusion process, whether that be reclaiming electric flux, which is a cool new kind of fusion reactor that I might get to in a video. Just had a call with a company about it. Or you have stuff around the reaction that gets hot. You heat water up with that hot, and that hot turns turbines. So LHC is not set up to be any kind of power generation machine. And I don't know what the actual I mean, the energies for these particles are unprecedented, but the actual energy output from a reaction like this, I don't know. I don't think it's a lot. Because then it would probably destroy the sensitive electronics over time, right? I'm not sure. Koopa in the chat. If you're liking the memes, there's an entire memes channel only in the Discord. That's true. We do get up to sweet, sweet memery. Guillermo Fidalgo says, there was mention in the CERN live stream today that there are studies on the feasibility to extend the LHC to 92 kilometers in circumference in the future. Imagine what that could do. Yeah. But yeah, I read either that one or the larger one might be something like, could be something like $100 billion. So it's going to be difficult to get that kind of funding for something like that. The upgrade, the FCC, would be far larger than the LHC, with a tunnel 62 miles long, with some physicists claiming that it's possible $100 billion price tag would not be worth the benefits of building it, but we could do other project with it. Yeah, so it's, yeah. Liz Calvert and Tiny Human Alex, back in the chat, with a 20, says, hey, Cy Kyle, I got to do CSI stuff, and it was cool. Everyone liked my real lab coat. I told people to buy your merch. My Tiny Human Alex says, do fireworks make the loud boom for the same reason that lightning does? Thanks, Kishore. It's a future circular collider. My eye is itchy, all right? Alex is asking, do fireworks make the loud boom for the same reason that lightning does? Technically, kind of. So, Alex, lightning is heating up air so quickly that it expands and it goes, Hoo! And that creates a wave like a ripple on a pond, Alex. And that air ripple reaches your ears and it sounds like something. Fireworks are more of an explosion. A blast wave. Something combusting inside of the firework and rapidly moving out of the way. This also, so it's not heating up the air like a lightning bolt does. It's more like the kinetic, it's more like the explosive itself very quickly pushing air out of the way. And that creates an air ripple that touches your, I don't know why I did that. That touches your ears, makes your tympanic membrane do a little wiggle wiggle. And that wiggle becomes electricity in your brain and then you hear stuff. Do you know that some bacteria use radiation for energy? I do. They're called radiotrophic bacteria, and they found some near Chernobyl using gamma rays to go through the process of creating sugar through chemical reactions, much like photosynthesis does with photons. Are you trying to challenge me to a science-off? I once challenged Dolph Lundgren to a science-off in person, and we both got 100% on the pop quiz. Smart guy. Platinum. In the chat, welcome. Hey, Kyle, do you think an LHC could benefit from being untethered from Earth's gravity? This is Jalen Mitchell. I don't see the immediate benefit. I mean, they put it underground to make it I mean, I'm pulling this out of my butt. I'm not totally sure. But I'm guessing they put it underground to help the sensitivity of the detectors. So there's less interference from cosmic particles, etc., etc. That's why you put neutrino detectors deep underground or under a kilometer of ice or whatever. So if I'm right in that assumption, which I usually am, then putting it in space would actually introduce way more noise into the system, so I don't think you'd want to do that, Jalen. But again, is a pop quiz same as a paternity test, as Jeremy Fertig? Beer review. So on the latest episode of The Facility, I, along with my throwing weapons master, Tasty Danger, yeah, I know, I only work with the most badass of women. Me and my weapons master, Tasty Danger, took a real Thor's hammer, over 10 pounds. Very heavy. Made by friend of the facility, the Hacksmith, and we attempted to throw it just like a real throwing weapon, like a throwing knife or a throwing axe or a shuriken. I had a sneaking suspicion that because the center of mass of Thor's hammer is right in the head, it has to be, because it's so heavy, that it would make it hard to throw. So I brought it to my friend Tasty, who just happens to work at Terran Tactical, the same place where they train John Wick. She knows how to throw and shoot stuff. It's true. And, spoiler alert, in less than 5 throws, she was able to demolish stuff with Thor's hammer.
Here's what I found.
What did you just... My watch just heard what I was saying and gave me a link to a Hacksmith video. You traitor! Christopher Rees, I can't believe... We're going to talk about this when I get home. Christopher Rees says, hey Kyle, I was planning a lesson on center of mass when your video dropped. I get the kids to cut out a shape and use the string method that you mentioned to find the center of mass. Great video as always. Christopher, great minds think alike, baby. Anyway. So, Tasty was able to absolutely demolish stuff, and then we sent the hammer back on its way, as you saw in the video. It flew its way out of there. But I want to know what you had to say on that video, and then I'll make you an honorary member of the facility, and then, Kevin's going to get you a plaque. This time is for sure. Don't you live in the facility, Kyle? Says Nelsie. Well, live is a strong term. I'm not, like, technically alive. John F. says, in knife throwing, there are basically 2 types of throws, rotational throws and non-spin throws. A no-spin throw is essentially where you swing your arm in a circle to accelerate it and then release it when your arm is facing a target. You're talking about a tangential launch off of a circular motion. I think a similar throw might be possible with hammers, yielding a straight throw similar to Thor's. Okay, John. It's rare to see videos where people have their initial hypotheses disproven. They just accept it like that. Kudos to Kyle for showing off that an incorrect hypothesis does not mean uninteresting results. You can always learn. from failure. Yogi Turtle Seraph says, have you tried throwing anvils? No. Have you ever tried picking up an anvil? I bet you can't. I challenge you to go and try to pick up a real anvil. Aren't they like 250 pounds? Good luck. Shane Shockley. The facility is an awesome place to be. The Discord is so much fun. My lab coat fits perfect. You heard it from Shane. And I'm hearing it from Patrick Davis. Kyle, anything with enough mass and kinetic energy can be considered a lethal weapon. Another fun and entertaining video. Great work, Kyle. Yeah, I mean, anything traveling fast enough will kill you. Is that what you're trying to say? Like a napkin? In the myths, Mjolnir had a handle that was way too short because Loki, in his disguise as a bug, kept stinging the dwarf who forged it. The fact that its center of mass is on the head is likely unintentional. Also, the bug at the end of the video was likely Loki as well. No way. Really? No way. PB says, do you think nuclear power can power laser weapons? Yes. Anything that generates electricity can make a laser weapon. Frankly Built says, I feel like this should have been thrown closer to how some knives and darts are thrown. Not a rotational-based action, but more in line with maintaining its forward momentum. Thor is throwing the hammer forward, never in any kind of arc. If the throwing face was was enough in any given direction, you use the last moments of the handle, leaving your fingers. Honestly, I'd love to see this hammer shot out of some type of cannon onto a ballistics dummy to show you what demonstration. Awesome video regardless, and James from the Hexsmith probably needs to make you more evil. Props. I mean, props. Wait. I think the Hacksmith replied to this. Have been thinking about making a Thor's hammer cannon that shoots it dead straight, top of hammer, head forward. Figured it'd look cool going through like 100 doors. Now, James, friend, you know that because you're already rich and famous, I cannot make you an honorary member of the facility. But for having such a great comment that elicited your response, Frankly Built, I think I'm going to make you this week's honorary member of the facility. Why? Not because I totally agree with you. Because I checked. My first crack at this video was going to say Thor throws his hammer wrong. That a lot of times you see it flying head first or top first and not spinning. And so I wanted to approach this video like, oh, real weapons spin in the air. But then all you have to do is just go back to the movies and look at all the throws, and it does in fact tumble and spin. So I think, I mean, the overhead spinning toss is what he first hits the Hulk with in Avengers. So if he does that, that's equally as valid to me as a throwing technique for Mjolnir as top on. So I think both of our approaches are still valid. Okay? But Frankly Built, I'm making you today an honorary member of the facility, and Kevin's got you a plaque. That's true this time. Kevin, thank you. What's this? Oh, they're in? It's a semi-invisible pin that says Death Ray on it. Don't tell them we have those. PB says, what would you say to change public opinion? PB says, what would you say to change public opinion about nuclear power? PB, I have good news. I've said a whole hell of a lot. Many, many hours worth about nuclear power. So go back to the main channel, check out our many videos about nuclear power. But the short of it would be nuclear power is by far the safest and most efficient form of power generation that we have. And if we today replaced every coal power plant with the necessary number of nuclear power plants, which would be far less because they're 1,000,000 times more energy dense, we would save hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of lives every single year. The 5th leading cause of death on this planet is related to fossil fuel pollution. Do you know where, out of all the deaths, do you know where nuclear would rank if fossil fuel pollution is 5? I can't even tell you. It's not even on the same. It would have to be on one of those graphs where part of the graph is broken away and in a different graph, because it wouldn't even make sense. It wouldn't even be on the same scale. You'd have to go logarithmic with that ish. Cordry, with the 5, says, if we were able to yeet nuclear waste and or other non-recyclable trash into the sun, would that affect its temperature or longevity? No. Of course, everything affects everything in some way. But the amount of trash that humanity produces is so small in comparison to the overall mass of the sun. 1,000,000 Earths could fit inside the sun. 1,000,000 Earths. So how much, if you took all the trash we produce each year, do you think that would make a volume like the size of the Earth? No, definitely not. It's probably a few miles across as a ball. And now you're talking about a volume that could, 1,000,000,000,000 of those could fit in the sun. You're talking about affecting it not even a percent of a percent of a percent. It would be nothing. And throwing stuff into the sun, it would be incredibly uneconomical because you'd have to accelerate it to a crazy velocity of about 30 kilometers per second in the direction opposite our orbital velocity, so it can fall into the sun. So that's not viable. And the idea of yeeting nuclear waste into the sun is predicated on the idea that we need to throw it into the sun. We don't. All the nuclear waste ever generated, ever, in the history of stuff, could be buried like if you took a football field and you dug a couple meters down and then you filled all that up, all that space up, that 3-dimensional volume up, all the nuclear waste ever, high-level nuclear waste ever, would fit in it. One football field. Cover it. Put some signs up. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't do. You bury it way, way under. But just as an illustration, it's not that much at all. Robert D. Wilson, broke my heart to stop supporting via Patreon supporter since day one, but hours at work got cut. Robert, I see you. I hear you. Don't worry about it. Anyone who's doing Super Chat, anyone who supports us here at the facility, always take care of you first. We are fine here. Usually. Don't worry about us. I have so many clones to go through. What if we fired trash from the LHC and pointed it at the sun? No! Damn it! The LHC can accelerate something like a proton up to such crazy high velocities because they weigh almost nothing. If it weighed like you, Danacron, well, first of all, you couldn't use magnets to do that to you. But second of all, it would take so much energy it wouldn't happen. So much. Speaking of energy and weapons, right after this stream is live, 30 minutes after we end here, we'll be jumping back into Fallout New Vegas to continue on our Fallout New Vegas Scientist Plays adventures. We are in a DLC which I've never played before, and it just so happens to be super villainy and science-y and laser scorpion-y. We'll be jumping right into that after this. Stay tuned. If you stay on this page, you'll be automatically redirected. Technology. But Kyle, you're forgetting one very important thing. Launching things into the sun is cool. Is it? It's a fun idea, you know. Wolfie Muse says, I imagine the early days of the facility were more difficult, but it's very good to hear from you that things are good now. Oh, yeah. We were never, it was a stressful time right back during lockdown, but, just because the new video we dropped this morning is doing terribly, it doesn't, it's not like I take that personally every single time. It's not like I blame any of you for not watching it. Maverick Arc Guard with a 10 says, I got you, fam. I know what hours of being cut is like. Maverick, don't give it to Robert. Karagoth, the SEK 100, please have some disposable income. I don't need it. I'm good. See those Keeps ads we did? They were fantastic. So coming up at the facility, we'll take some more. Take this quick moment to think up a fantastic question to ask. Coming up at the facility, we have a lot of fun things. I recently got to see a corpse flower bloom in person. It only happens once every 3 to 7 years at this location. I woke up bright and early, filmed it, and then ripped off Z Frank's video format to bring it to you. That will be next week, I think. Looking at a Dungeons and Dragons episode coming up, working with wizards, looking at a new Half-Life Histories about nuclear bombs going off above your face. I just got back from Games Done Quick in Minnesota just a couple days ago, 3 days ago. And I filmed an episode about muscle memory and speedrunners and speedrunning science. A lot of good footage, a lot of good interviews. Very fun event. They raised $3 million for Doctors Without Borders this time. They're fantastic. Then what else we got coming up? I may or may not have just gotten delivered a screen-accurate God of War axe from the Leviathan axe from God of War, and I might be doing something with it. So we have a lot of fun things coming up, just to let you know, of course. Everything that we're going to do. Charlie Spur with the 5. Charlie, I haven't answered all of your super chats. I apologize, but some of them I do not understand. Yeet the Parker Solar Probe into the sun. It's meant to go there. Some probes need to meet the maker. Thank you for everything, Kyle. Would you ever do a Cyberpunk 2077 video? Says Freya Firefly. Freya Firefly. That's a lovely name. Freya, I have fantastic news. Okay. As I said, I only work with phenomenally badass women. And what I did for Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm glad I got it out before the game came out because the game sucked. Or on launch it sucked. I worked with my other weapons master, Thea, to make this video that I'm putting in the chat right now, where she made a real mantis blade to see how deadly it could get. Spoiler alert, pretty deadly. Skip's leg day with the 20. Thank you. I skipped leg day. Arya doesn't skip leg day. Jeez. But it's been too hot near the facility to maintain leg day. I usually bike 10 miles every day or every other day, so that's been difficult. Will another Fallout 4 video be released as ratio active? I like that. Yeah, we just got through all the BioShock re-uploads from the old Twitch channel on the gaming channel. Next, I'll be uploading all of the Fallout 4 adventures there, and then we have all of Dead Space, and then all of Half-Life 2, and then we'll be caught up on the gaming channel. So we're trying to do more on the gaming channel, you know. Because many of you are nerds and gamers. Guillermo says the 13.6 tera electron volts is per proton beam. No, it's not. The protons themselves fired around have half that. And when they collide, it's multiplied by 2. So it's 6.8 teravolts for the protons themselves and the beams. And when they collide, that collision is twice that. Are you going to play Half-Life Alyx? I do have it. I do have a virtual reality headset. But I haven't played it yet. Platinum says, has the GG's, my good sir, and also screw you, you hippie. Imagine I'm yelling it right at you. Don't worry, I can. I always imagine you yelling. Do you disagree with the Institute in Fallout 4, says John Washburn? No. I mean, aside from making... I wouldn't make sentient slave cyborgs. I wouldn't do that. But in terms of having a goal to use science and technology to recapitulate society, yes, I would do that. And I would probably say, like, you know, maybe these Brotherhood of Steel are kind of, you know, Nazi-y, and I don't want to do that. So the Institute has an obvious problem because it's a morally gray game. But in terms of, if I ran the Institute, which has nothing to do with the facility, I didn't take screenshots of the Institute and then when I came back had everything, had all the Kevins work up to specification. It has nothing to do with that. Liz, I hear you. The Institute is right. That sounds like Thanos was right. Hey, that's what Wolfie Moose just said. How many Kevins are there? Yes. Do you think Thanos was right? I have Endgame on in the background. They're clones, not robots. Well, Kevins are. But what do they call them? Synths. They're robies. Do you think Thanos was right? No? I mean, there's probably less harmful ways to get at what he wanted to do than than vaporizing half of things. It's a very nothing is brute force like that. Questions of what it means to live a good life are nuanced, and just like a binary good or bad, or you need half of it or full of it. Those are too simple. They're simple enough for a movie, but not for real life. Charlie Spur with the 20 says, I want to make my own cloud chamber, but I need a radiation source to make it show interesting stuff. Would a banana work well enough, or do I need to go more hardcore? You need to go more hardcore. You can buy, I won't tell you where, but you can buy what are called cloud chamber sources. Put a quotation mark around that and Google it. You'll find it. It's not that expensive, but you can get non-dangerous sources of radiation to put in a cloud chamber specifically. Bananas do not emit strong enough particles for you to see them. But I have a cloud chamber source. It was under $100 or something, and you definitely see. Pew, 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 pew. Do gravitational fields go through wormholes? If so, then would you feel extra gravity standing next to it? I don't think so. I don't know. Ask Kip Thorne. Wormholes are only theoretical, so I don't know. Buy negative ion bracelets. Nile Red showed them in a clown chamber because they're radioactive. The video about negative ion bracelets, and some other Thought Emporium did a couple where he showed that they are radioactive enough to be possibly mildly dangerous over a long enough time period. They're not supposed to be radioactive, and negative ion or positive ion jewelry of any sort has no health benefits whatsoever. They're scams. It's a scam. So I wouldn't recommend you buy potentially dangerous stuff just for a cloud chamber. I would get a cloud chamber source from a known distributor and follow all the safety protocols. What is the link between bananas and radioactivity? Says Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra. There's no real link. It's just bananas, as they grow, they take in a lot of potassium, and there's naturally occurring radioactive potassium. So by having a lot of potassium, is it potassium 90? Is it K90? I think I'm right? if bananas have a lot of potassium, they have more of a chance of having a larger fraction of radioactive potassium than the average thing that doesn't have as much potassium as bananas do. So they're slightly radioactive. But that's it. There's nothing special about the banana's biology that makes it radioactive, aside from the fact that it contains a lot of potassium. That's it. That's it. It's K90, yeah? Kieran Cressy says, is it true that we share the same DNA with bananas? How does that even work? Yes. Everything shares some amount of DNA with everything, Kieran. And that's because evolution started out from literally the first single-celled organisms all the way to you and all the way to everything else. Everything is related if you go back far enough. Now, how does that work, Kyle? Well, trying to put it as simple as possible, we still don't have a firm, proven, and it's probably never going to be proven, theory of how the first thing became alive, whether it be, you know, lightning striking some sort of primordial soup in the early oceans. We don't know. But whenever the first self-replicating molecules like DNA started forming, then natural selection and evolution started. Now, you usually think of evolution with animals and bugs and organisms and stuff, but evolution can occur with anything that has can be prone to change, random changes, and susceptible to environmental pressures. So imagine the first molecule that could split or reproduce itself. Imagine it did that, but one was slightly different than the other, because that's naturally going to happen. It can't always be 100% correct. The replication of millions or billions of base pairs in DNA or atoms and molecules, what have you. So the first organism goes, or the first molecule does that. Slightly different. And then based on environmental pressures, maybe one of these molecules is more stable at ocean temperatures than the other one. Then this one, as it replicates, is more likely to replicate and go on because it is better handling that environmental pressure. Now, over time, over literally billions of years, if these replications and selections happen enough, the mutations that happen, so first you get molecules that replicate, then those molecules might start to form some sort of, like enclosure around itself. That starts looking like a cell membrane. If it happens to have an enclosure, it does better in the environment. Then that is getting selected. And then stuff that creating proteins inside of itself with different little organelles, that is selected for. And then you have multicellular organisms that perform even better. And then those split off, and then those make more complicated things, and then eventually, over enough evolutionary time, you start, maybe that cell membrane folds in a weird way, but that fold starts to be able to move, and suddenly you got the makings of some sort of locomotive device, and then fins, and then flippers, and then hands, and then arms, and then faces, and then eyes, and all this stuff. It all can start from a single event, Kieran. And that's why you share DNA with a banana. Does Vantablack have potential for military stealth aircraft, says Ravdos? I don't know. Probably not, because Vantablack absorbs 99.9% of visible light or whatever. But for military aircraft, you're not detecting other aircraft through vision. Like a stealth bomber, you can still easily see in the air. What it's doing, what its shape and what its coating is doing, is making it harder for radio waves to bounce off of it and back. Radar and LiDAR and stuff, well, probably radar. Radar and stuff to bounce off of it and make it back to the detector. So probably not. You would need a radio equivalent of Vantablack. Kevin M. with the 1,000 yen. Arigato. Hey, Science Kyle, would you ever play Phantom Dust? It's not super sciencey, but the town is inside a nuclear reactor. If not, take my money and continue talking about banana evolution. I might just do both. Yeah, everything I said about evolution has nothing to do with any other... it says nothing about the validity of other ideas. That's it. It stands apart from those other ideas. That's why it's good. Because it doesn't... The good thing about a theory like evolution is that it doesn't have to invoke any stuff outside of itself to make sense. It is a foundational theory of biology. Biology, it's, as we know it, wouldn't work without evolution. And so it's contained. It doesn't need to say, well, what about what that guy says about how the sun works? We don't need that. That's fine. Instead of everything crab, everything becomes banana. No. What's up, Kyle? First time on your stream. Yay, says Mario Paul. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we share an evolutionary history with everything, but it's going to be more or less depending on how close in evolutionary time you are. So something like a chimpanzee, we split, our primate ancestors split from chimpanzees not that long ago. 100,000, couple 100,000 of years, million years, whatever it is. 2.5 million years. I forget. And out of billions of years, that's not that long ago. And so we share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees. But something like a nan-nan or a mushroom, we split way long ago. And the longer ago you split, imagine like time starting at my microphone. And if you're splitting across billions of years, still with the same DNA, once we get billions of years away, look how far apart these things are, right? But if we split from chimpanzees right here, and then we do the same thing, whoop, not as far apart. I don't know if that makes sense, but graphically, that helped my brain. Thank you for being so nice about my name. Love the Elements by Tom Lehrer. Have you ever tried to memorize it? No, I haven't, Freya. Freya Firefly. Fantastico. Do you think mushrooms are sentient? No. Chat. Today we talked about the upgrades to the Large Hadron Collider. New detectors, new science, highest energies ever. For the next 4 years, we're gonna investigate dark matter, neutrinos, the vagaries of the Higgs boson, the standard model particle physics. So much science I can't even talk. Coming up at the facility, if you haven't watched our Thor's Hammer video that came out today, please go do so. Like that video, like this video. Join the facility today by going to patreon.com/Kyle Hill, where you get all the videos early, you get bloopy bloops, you get to vote on the titles of videos, you get to join our members-only Discord, where you can talk to me and ping me just about every gosh darn day. And right after this stream is live, in about 30 minutes, make sure to jump over to the Kyle Hill Gaming channel, where we are continuing on our science-y exploration of Fallout New Vegas. I heard Kyle has the biggest collider in space and time, says Game Over Jesse. You couldn't be more right. Thank you to Jabo and Heather for moderating today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all of your support. It's going towards fixing that light, if not directly supporting what we're doing here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever I find you next, whether it's on the next video, live stream, let's play. Let's have a great rest of your day, huh? And, of course, be nice to each other, because this is all we got. Okay, bye-bye.